Welcome to First Builders, the podcast for those who shape companies from the ground up. I'm Amber Illig, General Partner at the Council Capital, where we invest in early teams solving critical problems in essential industries.
And I'm Rachel Choi, Partner at the Council. Every week we sit down with builders who are doing hard things in hard places. And today we're talking with a lawyer who got tired of how legal services work and decided to rebuild them from scratch.
We're joined today by Kristina Subbotina, founder and CEO of Lexsy, an AI-powered legal operating system built specifically for startups and the venture funds that back them. Kristina spent nearly a decade inside of the system and founded Lexsy in 2023. She served over 100 startups, generating seven-figure revenue with zero ad spend, building a huge audience across TikTok, LinkedIn, and Instagram along the way. We're also investors in Lexsy out of our fund too, and I've known Kristina for a while, and I've watched her build a huge distribution through her socials. We're also very happy customers of Lexsy as well.
Thank you
Yeah,
so
Kristina, we're so excited to have you here. Welcome to First Builders.
Thank you so much, Amber and Rachel. Small correction. 2023, that was my law firm called Cooley, and it was not backed. It was tech-enabled, but that allowed me to start Lexsy and scale to 400K ARR in the first 5 months. The cheat code is that I already started the tech-enabled law firm. And I think it's important to note that when sometimes people see these overnight successes, it's actually not overnight.
Totally.
A decade and 2 years of automating legal before going all in and building the platform and AI agents.
Yeah, and it's so funny you said that because I was actually there. I've known you through that entire journey. And to me, it all felt natural. Like it's, almost all the same company because you put so much effort into creating that foundation that then allowed you to see the problem and scale into Lexsy and what it is today.
Thank you for being part of the journey. And I saw your journey of building the council. And it's nothing short but incredible. And how you identify those first builders early on. You truly bet on people before it becomes a consensus. And it's very rare.
That's what we try to do. So we love that it came across.
Yes.
An incredible women community. I haven't seen anyone in the venture space to just cultivate the group of women who are badass without announcing that this is a women group.
Yeah.
I come to your events and I'm like, wow. And we hosted the pre-seed lunch with Lexsy, and was the full table of women with one man who was a husband of an investor. And I didn't expect it. And it was truly a magical moment every time. Thank you so much, ladies, for everything that you do. And I'm beyond grateful for having you part of Lexsy journey and just overall sharing that journey with you.
It means a lot. We're so honored.
Awesome. Well, we'd love to kind of just start at the beginning and, hear a little bit about your journey. Obviously, you shared before you immigrated to the US back, I think, in 2014. What made you choose law, I guess, when you came here? And then also what made you choose the US as well?
Yeah, I came to the United States in 2014. I'm originally from Russia. I came to study law. I got a grant, fully paid law degree at USC, living expenses, everything. America was my dream because I was born on July 4th. I don't know, it might sound cheesy or stupid, but I always felt that it's a sign that I'm born on July 4th. I'm very independent. I should just pursue that and see what is there for me. And right now I'm in LA. I landed in LA in LAX. I rented a car and went straight to my rented apartment with rented furniture. I didn't know a single person in the country. I spoke English, but not fluent. And I just started everything from scratch. It was quite a journey. And I think that's the startup journey. A founder comes frequently an immigrant. Over 50% of founders are immigrants. Unicorn founders are immigrants. We come here with big dreams. We don't know sometimes even English, let alone legal. And I think that was my startup journey. I was the founder of my life, of this American dream. And I studied law at USC, graduated, worked at U.S. Court of Appeals for the Ninth Circuit, a federal judge. And I actually didn't mean to stay in the U.S. It just happened to be that, bar exam, then working for one startup, another startup, then another law firm, then Cooley, then I started my own law firm. So the life was built very naturally, organically. And by looking back, I see how each dot is connected, every experience that I've had here. Even my experience in Russia is helpful. I didn't work as a lawyer in Russia. I was a governmental official, and I learned how to build deep connections, relationships. And I learned when I came to the US that law is a monopoly. I'm like, I see a monopoly when I see it. I can smell it, I can taste it. And when I graduated, I didn't know what can be done. And only with LLMs, I realized that there is an opportunity. Even before LLMs with software, there was space to automate certain things like document generation, but definitely not to the extent that now we have agents, sub-agents, specialists in different areas, specialists in each type of the document. And it's truly life-changing. I think that there is no better time to be a lawyer than now. And my experience working for a federal judge, two startups, law firm, and representing multiple startups, but also venture investors investing in startups, allowed me to see a bigger picture, life cycle of a company, how first it's a founder, then it's employees, then it's an in-house counsel, how different stakeholders come in, whether it's venture investors or private equity, what happens, what exit, bankruptcy, M&A, IPO, what happens after the exit when the company gets acquired or post IPO. So it truly gave me that big view and the pain points. And until end of last year, I think 2023, when I started my law firm, it was one of the first AI law firms. So I already saw that that journey can be democratized and simplified, but only at the end of last year when I saw it truly can be completely reworked from the ground up. And that's how Lexsy came into place. We are building legal operating system for companies and investors investing in them. And we try to capture companies at inception just to set that legal operating system of record with self-updating cap table, data room, and with the chat that has all of the agents that are specialized in different areas of law, commercial, corporate, employment, litigation, data privacy, tech transactions, that a founder can chat with a chat that is focused on their corporate documents that are self-updating with all of the agents. Once the company succeeds, it's going to be an in-house counsel, VP of people, C4. And that layer that is legal intelligence, proactive, tells you what comes next. That is a productizing that journey that I've had as a lawyer in the US for over a decade. It sounds really intense, but I believe that it is doable right now. It is really granular. You need to go in each single document, create a skill for each document, for each agent, and the whole architecture, agentic architecture, in addition to the platform with all of the corporate records. It's truly intense, but now it is doable. 5 years ago, it was just impossible. And I'm super excited that we got a shot at this.
Yeah, and it's intense for you because you're building it, but it's actually making it simpler for founders. And so I love that focus on founders because, even having founding my own venture firm and worked with so many startup founders, legal is one of the most painful things that we all have to deal with. I love the law team that we work with, but we actively try not to email them because it's so expensive just to have a 5-minute interaction with somebody over an email. And so, a lot of these lawyers are billing like $1,000 an hour or more. And founders are very aware that they don't know what they don't know. And so there's just a lot of fear around how do I manage legal because I don't want to underspend and then get in trouble, and then I don't want to overspend and then, put my dollars in the wrong place. So I imagine you've seen a lot of that in working with founders. How has that sort of, molded the way that you're thinking about Lexsy as well?
Actually, I'm billing at 1,100 an hour, and founders are happy to pay for my hourly rate when they need a conversation with me. But the Lexi platform is set up that way that you don't need a conversation with me unless things are going really bad or really good. And you need that strategy and hand holding. But 80-90%, it just runs on autopilot. It's your legal on autopilot. And I believe that great lawyers, they will be even more in demand. They will continue be more expensive, not less. And I've never seen a founder doubting the value that I provide one-on-one. Yes, drafting the documents, did it really take this long? But the complexity of law is underestimated by someone who's not a specialist. When I was just a junior associate, I was like, oh, it just, filling out the templates. But no, the more senior you become, you realize in order to fill out this 5 pages, you have 15 pages of a checklist that you go through mentally. And That needs to be automated, while 1,100 an hour, 1,700 an hour, 5,000 an hour for someone who has done multiple deals, who has taste, experience, and who is a trusted partner, it is completely worth it.
Yeah. I think I've heard you made an analogy before to like sports stars where it's like you bring in the top person when you want to win the game, but there's all this other work that needs to be done that maybe you don't need to be on the $1,000 an hour call to just like, get a formation document done that looks exactly like every other company's formation document and with tweaks to your specific company. But that's what I love about Lexi. It's like the combination of what makes in person so special and having that human to human interaction, but then powered by technology on the back end to make it more efficient.
Yes, and I think one of our secret sauces is that we have a network of specialists. Some of them are currently in Big Law. Some of them left Big Law and started their own firm. Some of them law firms are mid-size. And we pick the best specialists in different areas of law because the company, as it starts and grows, sometimes needs dozens of lawyers, different law. And we pick the best from our opinion. Our design partner is Silicon Legal Strategy under Garkanian. He shared his network of specialists with us. It's it's like 25
It's
pages
awesome.
of just the names. When boarded 5, and that allows us to be with the company throughout the life cycle because we go really deep and specialized. Everything generic kind of get commoditized now with all of the LLMs.
Yeah, that makes sense. And how do you think founders should be thinking about like law? I've seen some of your content when you kind of go into that, but yeah, would love to hear just like if a founder is getting started, should they think about Lexi and legal and things like that?
Yeah, that's how I would think about it. And I'm a founder myself. Lexi Inc., my company runs on Lexi platform, and we do all of the legal work on Lexi. And here's how my head of product and ops and I do our own legal work. So we have Lexi chat where Irina, the head of product, she frequently populates all of the documents there and she brainstorms with Lexi. What should we do here? What should we do there? She gets to the point of clarity that, okay, I want this business outcome. So, for example, I want to hire a senior AML engineer, and you type, this is what you want. You're like, okay, how do we hire? There are different ways: advisor, consultant, employee. Then you're like, okay, what's the difference? Lexi educates you what's the difference. Here, you already saved at least $500 just on this. Then Lexi provides some practical recommendations based on the market. If you, for example, pre-seed and you don't have a lot of money, although legally speaking, you have to hire the person as a full-time employee, but many early stage startups hire those as consultants. So you're like, okay, pros and cons, these are the risks. Okay, good to go with a consulting agreement. Lexi generates your consulting agreement based on the form that is approved by a lawyer. These are the 2 steps that most of the founders get wrong. They usually use AI to generate brand new documents. AI is not really good at generating brand new documents. It's better to use lawyer-approved template that was thought through. Tens of thousands of dollars went into each template. And I'm not even kidding. That's how complex they are. So instead of generating a brand new document, start with a template from your lawyer. Then, instead of generating legal provisions because you're not a lawyer, come to a crystallized vision of what you want in terms of the business outcome. And if you give that to model, then Lexi would be able to translate it into legal language.
Mm.
One of the horror stories that happened, our client generated consulting agreement on Lexi using our template. The consultant on the other side used Claude, generated 18 pages of comments to the consulting agreement.
Wow.
That consulting agreement ended up being $11,000 because we will
Just
negotiate
like undoing stuff. Yeah.
undoing, and we couldn't figure out what he actually wants versus Claude convinced him that he's been taken advantage of.
Yeah.
He ended up being forced to hire a lawyer because his AI couldn't pick up the revisions that we made. So 3 weeks, $11,000, while
Oof.
it should have been literally $500. It was
Wow.
a very standard consulting agreement. But this is the bad use of AI. The good use of AI, as I said, you get clear picture on the business outcome, you use a template, and if it's an important agreement, I always recommend send to a lawyer on Lexi Chat. It's actually literally a button. You chat, 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 you generated a document, and then you press the button send to a lawyer. It summarizes the chat. You can attach the full chat. You can attach to your document, and lawyer will review a red line, not just a brand new document, but a red line showing the changes to the template. That's the thing that reduces the time for a lawyer. You
Mhm.
still want to hire always the best lawyer. You just want to reduce the time they need to protect you. Because at the end of the day, lawyers are not bad. They're trying to protect you against the risks, right? They're trying to also save themselves from liability. So getting that a win-win on both sides, that's what Lexsy does. You need a lawyer. AI doesn't replace a lawyer. Good or bad news, but Anthropic recently did a survey, not survey, but the audit where model is exceeding, where it's failing. Currently, AI accuracy on legal is 13.3%.
My
It
goodness.
was
Wow.
autopilot. 13.3, it's incredibly low. With human lawyer in the loop, that's where you get to 100% accuracy. Without human lawyer in the loop right now, it is going to be a disaster.
Clearly. I want to like take a little side journey to talk a little bit about who you are in all of this. You've talked about AI a lot, and I've been keeping up with your journey since the early days of Lawlace and then Lexi, and even before Lawlace when you were thinking about founding something. And I've just seen, I think you're one of the fastest, if not the fastest adopter of AI that I know. And we have a ton of really AI pilled people in our portfolio and networks. But just, something will launch overnight and I'll see Christina like walking out of the Apple store with a whole new like iMac so that she can use it and test it out because she cannot wait a week to like let the dust settle with a new technology. So I want to just hear like what in your life like prepared you to be all in like that? Like what gives you that sort of like bold, presence? Or not even presence, but just like the willingness to go all in and be like, hey, you know what? I'm going to be first and I'm not going to wait for everybody else to figure this out and tell me how to do it.
Well, there's a dark side of that. I make my engineers cry. Literally. Yeah, that is a good question. My engineers are really struggling with me with that because if we're 2 weeks, 2 weeks something came out, I'm really mad at them that they're not on top of that. And when I am pressuring them, they're like, it came out only 2 weeks. I'm like, 2 weeks? And you should be on top of that. So I feel like if I don't push, no one else will go at that speed. And maybe that's normal that founders move at the fastest because they're the most obsessed.
You're setting the pace. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm setting the pace. And yeah, my team does struggle with my pace. I'm not gonna lie. Where it came from, I think it's upbringing. I grew up in Russia. It's not rich family, not powerful. So I always felt that. And plus, my parents had a divorce. It was always like unstable environment, home environment. And Amber, you like know probably some of my like family stories. So I felt like, okay, they're gonna give me a certain level, but I'm on my own. And that drive, it kind of naturally was always there. Like, what is next? Pushing, 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 pushing. Yeah, that's childhood that is not stable as I wished. But the other side of that is that it gives you ambition and motivation.
Yeah. I get the sense that you're like, if I'm going to do this, I'm going big, I'm going all out. So
That
leave
is,
it all on the floor. You know what I mean?
and if you think about even logically, right? In order to be great at something, if you want to be top 1% lawyer, athlete, whatever, the amount of hours you have to work and go all
Mhm.
in, you have to go all in. So why not go big if it's going to take the same amount of work? Yeah, that's kind of how I'm thinking about that. Whether making $10 million, $100 million, or $1 billion, it's the same amount of work ethic, hiring the best people. It's just what you say no to and what you focus on, focusing on bigger opportunities with big market. And the other side of that, you have to move fast.
Mhm.
If you want a lifestyle business, then you chill. But here, if it's a venture backed company, it's a big market. If you're ahead of people, no one is doing it yet. In 6 months, 12 months, people will be doing that. And I'm seeing it with AI law firms. I was, I think, one of the first ones, if not first, I was not venture back, and I learned all of the lessons in 2 years. Now I'm seeing a lot of AI law firms. I'm like, okay, I have maybe 6 months until they learned what I learned, and you gotta use that.
Yeah. And 6 months, like, especially nowadays, that can
That's
give
like
you a
10 years.
great head start. So, yeah. Yeah, especially given the pace of change for everything. I wanna touch back on what you were talking about, just, like, how that has kind of, like, infiltrated really how you operate and everything. I feel like it's probably also operated, like, or infiltrated into your social content and distribution as well. So, would love to hear a little bit about that. You have hundreds of thousands of followers, across so many different channels, and it's really become a distribution kind of channel for you and, a moat for you as well. So, yeah, tell us a little bit about that story and how you got into it.
Being famous always pays off. I think if you have nothing, I would optimize for visibility, because it attracts opportunity. Whatever you sell, it's gonna sell. Whether you run a venture fund, whether you run a startup, being famous is definitely a tool. It's an asset. And on the other side, that's how you make the biggest impact. We have 41 customers running on the platform. But through my social media, I affected so many people. I recently got a message from a lawyer who quit big law, and now in 3 months she's making 50K a month.
Wow.
Although I'm not selling anything to her, but it makes me so happy that I'm sharing my journey. I am selling the product and promoting Lexsy. But another effect of that people get inspired, they leave the jobs that they don't enjoy, and they become more brave. It only takes seeing a person who kind of looks like you, thinks like you, to believe I can too. And I think what you ladies are doing, not a lot of women are venture investors. And I think you also set an example for founders, for women, that we are going to succeed. It is possible. They've done it. We can do too. So I truly feel that I can make the biggest impact, I think, with content. And I truly enjoy it. It makes me happy. And to be very honest, when I was starting out, I didn't have that strategy, or it's going to be distribution channel or something like that. Now we're more strategic. Now we have 2 pieces of content a day, like 3 pieces of content a day. 80% is what has worked. All of the hooks were more intentional because it's part of the business. But the beginning was, I want to bring value to founders. All of the legal mistakes that I've learned the founders make, I really want to help them. Many of them are my friends who lost their companies. One of my friends lost a company because she didn't sign a consulting agreement with a CTO. And that CTO asked for half of the funding round. It ended up in litigation, and the company went down. So it's like such a thing that if my video can get 10 million views and at least one founder doesn't make that mistake, it makes me happy. And seeing how that also translates into our clients, one of our clients came to me around 3 months before the co-founder divorce. We converted his LLC to C Corp, put all of the co-founders on a vesting schedule, did the IP assignment. When the co-founder divorce happened, we terminated the co-founder. Other co-founders who left, we got their shares back. The company now makes 100K a month. There is litigation that is happening in Delaware right now. We are the concierge. We found the litigation counsel that is affordable, and the founder would spend probably 200K all in on the litigation. The company is successful. If we didn't come on time from that content that I was sharing, that company would be dead. And now the client is on a 5K monthly subscription. And it just feels so good that we were able to make a difference in a life of a founder who is really young, but successful, talented. And at least legal is not going to be the reason why. If he ever fails, it's legally shouldn't be the reason.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Having the legal stuff right should be the table stakes at this point.
Yeah, it should run on autopilot, and it shouldn't be the thing that founders focus on, because your biggest thing that as a founder you need to focus on: customers, product market fit, hiring the best people,
Mhm.
and making sure that money comes in, revenue or investors. If something else doesn't come into these issues, you should find a way to automate that, hire someone to do it. But unfortunately, with legal, certain things that are so consequential, you have to know important definitions, what matters. And that's why content comes in. I really want the founders to know about things like 83B, QSBS. I really want founders to make their vision a reality and make a bag, truly become wealthy at the end
Yeah.
of that. That that leap of faith, that incredible risk that they took pays off. That is my goal.
It's awesome. And what has been just like transferring to like inside of building Lexi, what has been the hardest thing about building Lexi and what have you learned?
What has not been hard? Let me try to think about that. Okay, I think different things at different times. So when we raised our pre-seed round, I had to become, so I'm a lawyer, content creator. So I do legal work, I sell. I had to become chief product officer and kind of an engineer. I coded myself version 1 of the platform and our website because I realized in legal, if you're not a lawyer, you don't know what product to build. And
Mm,
there is an ocean between engineers and lawyers, and AI understands me better than anyone else. So I just looked in and I worked until like 4 a.m. And it was really hard because at the same time, I needed to learn how to manage engineers. And they didn't really appreciate me shipping straight into prod. And the first version, you would appreciate it. Like the first version of Lexi was vibe coded on Lovable. I did the first version, and then engineers started coding, but vibe coding also on Lovable because we didn't have any other choice. We had to wait for each other to ship things into prod. We literally had to stay from early morning until 4 a.m., all four of us. And at some point they said, like, Kristina, enough is enough. We have to move to the production quality. And we did that. That transition was also hard. Vibe coding and enterprise, even like production ready, secure, scalable product is two different things.
mhm,
That was really hard. My engineer, he's not a senior, mid-level engineer. He literally started crying and breaking down because there was so much stuff and it was really overwhelming. So hiring engineers and managing engineers, that's the second thing that I had to learn, and also learn my taste in people. I realized that certain people might be talented, but they're not going to be a culture fit or fit personally with me. I'm very direct and it's never personal. It's about we have to shift. This is the timeline, and certain people break. And it's not their fault. It's not my fault. But I try to spot early on. One of the engineers in the first 2 weeks, he said it's toxic environment. And I'm like, okay, that is an information. And then I started asking other engineers. And when I was asking them, how are you feeling? They didn't even understand the question. They switched the topic to, and I'm struggling with this one piece I need help with. And I realized there is a difference in engineers and like in hires. One is focusing on the emotional part, and the other type of person focusing, how do I fix this thing? I can't figure it out. And they're focusing on the solution. So our culture is solution oriented, direct feedback. Nothing is personal. We are very horizontal. We have different jobs. My job is not more important than someone else's, but my job is to push you. Your job is to prioritize, kind of push back, and still deliver. So that was a learning for me. I started questioning myself. Am I too aggressive, too pushy? But no, that's what it takes to move at this speed. You kind of have to. And I found my people. Now, when I hire, I optimize for that. And I accept that there will be an error rate in hiring, that it's not going to work out. And I let it go in the first month.
mm,
And I learned that if it's not a good fit, treating the person kindly, direct feedback is kindness, and not
Absolutely.
letting drag to the point then I will be yelling because I'm so frustrated that something doesn't get done.
totally.
And I think I've also learned it from my clients. We have a client also now monthly subscription. The CTO delayed the product by a year.
Wow.
Clients could not get the product. And I saw how it was I saw how everything was unfolding, all of the excuses, the quality wasn't there, and the founder was giving chances after chances after chances. And that's why I learned that I'm not going to be that. I'm not in that category. And now there is a whole litigation going on that CTO is suing. We have two clients on the platform who are going through litigation. So I make sure I paper everything up, bulletproof of everyone. I'm very direct, what is non negotiable, where you stand, and I communicate it.
Yeah.
That's
I imagine
probably,
it's also helpful for like interviewing and onboarding people too. So it's like, hey, this is going to be the culture. It's not weird if you get direct feedback from someone. And now that you know that about yourself and you know that about like the type of people you want to work with.
yes. So now with that out of the way, I think the hardest thing is hiring A players. And when it hurts, not to settle for B and C because it hurts
Mhm.
when you scale and you need help. And what I learned as well that hiring A players is a long-term game, build the relationships because that player might take a year to come to conclusion that this is the right fit and A players have multiple options. And even with you, Amber, our relationship took a long time for both sides to arrive to the conclusion that we're for real. And you cannot cut the corners. It takes time for you to see how I perform, how fast I perform, and vice versa, right? I seen you how you treat other founders, representing founders in which you invest in. So all of that takes 2 years. So my recommendation for founders would be build long-term relationships. If you like someone personally, it's really important to enjoy working with your investor, your employees. Stay in touch because life is long. And my way of bringing those A players, I first bring them as an advisor, and then we develop in the relationship. And then when the timing is right, the job becomes annoying, the RSUs go down, something. I'm like, okay, this is the timing to snatch that person. Yeah, that's been my strategy.
That's awesome. You got to wait for that rainy day and just slide right in there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like we have one person I am really manifesting, bringing him on board, and he's like, "I'm going through a midlife crisis." I'm like, "Tell me more. How do you like your job?" And
That's
I'm
like
like,
the yeah, it's always a time to swoop in when people, you can feel it in the conversation.
Yeah.
"Yes, yes," and like you cannot push. So yeah,
Yeah. By the way, we're now in like an IPO season with SpaceX just having happened and then hopefully Anthropic and OpenAI soon. But I imagine there will be some other like good moments in people's lives where they're like, hey, I'm ready to go out and take a bet on myself somewhere new now. We'll see. So
I'm manifesting that. One more lessons that I learned that people who are like A players, they money is important at some point, but they are not there for the money. They have to like what they do and they have to like the people. And about myself, I realized that when I work with my investors, team members, partnerships, when I really enjoy the people, it doesn't feel like work the obligation. I would still want to hang out and it makes it worth it. And it makes it
Totally.
worth it even when you're losing, something is happening. You feel that, okay, no matter whether I win or lose, I'm enjoying this. So I'm excited about the people who have exits. And if you are a senior AI ML engineer and you maybe had an exit, and you want to challenge yourself and you want to work on something new and have ownership and you want to have a culture of direct feedback and just like overall ambitious team, please find me. Let's
We
start
will
building that long-term relationship.
definitely add that in the show notes as well so that people can reach out for anyone
And
who's
lawyers.
looking.
We're also hiring lawyers, junior, senior, mid-level, ECVC, emerging companies, venture capital lawyers, especially right now a junior, detail-oriented, hardworking, really sharp, and who is really AI forward. Does believe in that AI is changing the game. Please let me know. I will also hire it.
Yeah. Wait, so I would love to hear what's your pitch to these folks who've maybe been in different industries before? Obviously not a lawyer, but like for the AI engineers, especially because there's so much I feel like in the ecosystem around legal tech right now, legal AI. Yeah, how would you kind of describe it, especially for someone who doesn't know that world except for kind of just what they hear about the hype?
So what I do, I share with them vision and I actually show them the product. The product and Amber
That's
saw
what gets investors excited too. The second they see the demo, they're like, okay, this is real. I can visualize what's happening here.
Yeah.
Yeah, and when they see the product, they realize that nothing like that exists. It's very
Mm,
futuristic, innovative, and it's challenging. So with that senior AML engineer whom I'm courting, I see those moments when I'm pushing him, this is what I want. And he's like, wow, yeah, this is hard. When we initially started talking, he was not even open to be an advisor. He thought it's kind of a wrapper, right?
mhm,
And he built the actual LLM model for one of the biggest companies. He was one of the like 25 people who built that LLM model for that company. So many great engineers, they think that only building models is hard and all of this vertical, it's games for kids, it's not challenging, it's not interesting, it's all wrappers. But the way how I'm first of all starting that, we're removing friction from founders to allow them to scale, bring the vision to life. And
mm,
people who are entrepreneurial, they deeply resonate with that. They know how hard it is to be a founder, and they usually know that legal is expensive, slow. So they resonate with the vision. Then I'm showing them what legal operating system means with the human lawyer in the loop, how we're building the Uber Black Waymo, and how we're onboarding other law firms to provide truly top quality advice. While on the other side, for startups, we democratize timing, money, quality, and the whole overall experience of getting legal advice. It's on the platform with all of your documents that live there. It's almost like a concierge, having a medical concierge that is with you. All of your medical records for your whole life was there, right? And whenever there is a new doctor come in, the doctor joins, sees all of your records, and AI scanned everything and organized everything and updates it every time you go to a doctor. So that doesn't exist even in medical. I'm dreaming that someone builds that in medical. So when they see how big the vision is, that it is very long term, it is a 7, 5, 10 year game plan because of the complexity. I think they start feeling that, okay, I resonate with the pain and the vision, and there's a challenge, a true challenge that needs to be overcame. So that combination of seeing the vision, seeing how truly challenging it is, and timing that they are in that they're ready to go. And that's how we hired the head of product and operations. She worked at Indeed for 10 years, Irina, and she was advising me for around 9 months. When we met, she didn't plan on leaving Indeed. She was just helping angel investing. And when the leadership changed, the timing was right. And yeah, everything just click, click, click. And although she never did legal, because she was advising, she learned a lot of things about the company. So even if you're not in legal or in a vertical, sometimes it's helpful because you think outside of the box. If you, for example, I'm a lawyer, so I do have a certain box, and the technical team, product team, they think outside the box because they don't know that the box exists.
It's awesome. And just going back to content, we talked about why that's important and what it's sort of done for you, but you've basically built seven figures of revenue with zero advertising, as far as I'm concerned, and almost entirely through your social content. And really, like, that's a huge distribution moat for you. And so, what can you tell founders who are just getting started today about building distribution, like, how to just get started and put one foot in front of the other? And I'm saying this while you're actually like right now at Create and Cultivate. I think it starts tomorrow. It will
Yeah.
be, we'll be releasing this episode after it actually happens, but Christina's featured as a rising star of 2026 at Create and Cultivate, which is a top creator award. I've been around the block for long enough to know that, even though I'm not in that crowd. So Congrats on that. And yeah, I guess, this happened quite quickly. So what can you tell us about that rise and like what founders should be thinking about early on?
So first of all, I don't do ads because I don't know how to do ads. I'm happy to do it. I just literally don't know how to set it up. But what I do know is that creating high quality content that works. And it's an asset that works after you created it for years ahead. It's that evergreen content. One thing that I wanted to say that founders thinking about go to market, don't think that you have to make content. The key thing is that you have to do that is authentic to you, that is natural to you. And if content is not that, don't do that because people are saying that you need to be doing that. Examples, for example, Naval, when he started sharing his philosophical philosophy, right, about life and everything, people were telling him it is cringe. What are you doing? It is not professional. It's not related. But he ended up being the most famous for that. Most of the people know him for his philosophy, right? So it was authentic. For me, I was creating content and I actually had a fear that I'm going to be famous but poor because no one buys from Instagram. So I didn't know that you can monetize that. And the unlock for me happened when I started sharing my life, the things that I truly enjoy. I love business class. I do not like flying economy for over 5 hours. And I started recording myself sitting in business class and like eating, doing makeup. I don't know. I think people feel the energy that I'm enjoying. I'm really grateful to be here. You know, me driving like Bentley. I really love Bentley. I really love G-Wagon. And it just like, it attracts the attention. Chanel, I think certain materialistic things definitely play the role because people want to see successful people. They don't want to take money advice from people who don't have money. So that definitely does play the role, but it just has to be authentic, what you truly enjoy. And in combination with bringing value. So whatever you enjoy, but try to bring value. So for example, in my content, it's that video with business class of Bentley, but I share real legal horror stories and I break down what happened, why, and I give real checklists and templates that I use in my practice. And many lawyers download that. Like I have many lawyers attending my webinars, they learn from me, and then they also apply to a job at Lexsy because I give true value. So combination of authenticity and giving value and being visible in certain sense, whether that's your blog post, podcast, maybe it's events, maybe you really shine. Because I know some of the, people, they don't do social media, but they host really high caliber dinners. A lot of billionaires come there. And one of my friends, she invited me for one of those dinners. And that's how I met Naval. I was like, oh, wow, these are very non-public events. You go there and that's how she sources her distribution, but I think overall, if social media is something that you are curious, that's my advice. Be authentic, provide value. And I'm very bullish on social media. I think that's the new media. That's the new Hollywood. And as AI commoditizes a lot of the things that software, all of the things that you need to do and your knowledge, distribution, trust, that becomes a rare asset. And what social media does, and I'll tell you a crazy story. One of my followers made a tattoo on her head here with the Lexi logo.
I saw that on your
And I'm like,
story.
how in the world? I honestly got a little bit scared. I'm like, wow, people really take things to heart.
Yeah.
Well, that is an example how trust at scale works with social media. They see me every day, my dog, my travel, my friends, my business. Like when I record from the bed, they think that I'm their close friend, right? They can trust me. That's what social media does. And every go-to-market strategy, whether it's events, whether I don't know, billboards, you try to build awareness, that you build trust. Social media is permissionless way to build trust at scale. It doesn't take money. It just takes the effort to figure out the hook, first 3 seconds, what hooks the attention. And it takes probably a year of iteration to know what works. And once you found out what works, doubling down on that, experimenting, and it is truly powerful that I don't need to pay for distribution. I think as a startup that bleeds money, having revenue that comes that you don't have to pay for, it feels liberating. I
Totally.
feel that venture money for me is enabling me to take bigger risks that otherwise I wouldn't be able to make. But I don't need venture money to like be successful, to be free to do what I want. And that is a different energy that you start to emanate. And I think like overall social media is allowed me to break from the matrix where you have to have a job to afford and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And Create and Cultivate came out of nowhere. They sent an email. I actually didn't know about them. And I was like, is it even real? I asked my CEO agent, I'm like, what is it? Is it, is it real? And they said Serena Williams, Jessica Alba got
That's a
it. I'm
big
like,
deal.
what is it? What is it? And I ask people like, yeah, this is a real deal. And that's another example that people are watching you that you don't know about. And you put one piece of content and it reaches people you cannot see versus when you go to an event, how many people you can talk to. It's
Yeah.
very limited. Here, it goes God knows where. Mark Cuban reposted my reel and commented. I don't know whether I would meet Mark Cuban. It had to be some coincidence that I would be like where he is, you
Right.
know.
And would he hear like the authentic thing that you had like in that moment? Could have been a totally different conversation if you just met him in a
Exactly.
casual small talk environment.
I have a good example, Alexis Ohanian, founder of Reddit, founder of 776. He was my client at Cooley. He didn't know me personally, but he saw my social media. And when I came to an event, he came up to me and said, I know you. You're that startup lawyer from Instagram. So that opens up the doors that you just didn't know that they even exist.
Totally. Yeah. That's amazing. I mean, you're doing so much. Obviously, you're building Lexsy, you're creating all of this content. What kind of rituals do you have to kind of, stay sane or stay grounded?
Yeah, that is very important. I had an energy awakening in 2023 around the time when I started my business. So I'm very sensitive to like intensity. I have to find the time to balance my energy. Otherwise, powerful energy is also destructive. So you have to find a way. So for me, that is meditation, movement, that is mindful. For example, yoga, Pilates, something, breath and movement that connects. A relaxation, massages, walking, traveling, reading, journaling. I journal every day, at least 10 minutes.
How
Just,
many journals do you go through in a year?
probably at least 10.
Wow.
And I always have a
I feel
journal.
like I can see you journaling, like, definitely once a day. Yeah.
Yes, and like this journal specifically, I put my wins every day, whatever the three things that I'm grateful for, and that keeps me grounded on gratitude because every day as a founder you have ups and downs and they're high and low. And reminding yourself that there are still things to be grateful for, even when it feels low, because the another high is just around the corner. So that practice, the moment I wake up and go to bed, I remember three things I'm grateful for. And throughout the day, I record specific things. For example, excited to improve emails for sales that I scheduled 3 webinars. Last week, I did 3 webinars and those small wins, small steps that the vision is big, but it's all small steps. And when you feel overwhelmed with this $1 billion vision, I'm like, okay, just schedule in 1 webinar. That is the goal. Write in the description for that. That is the goal. So being grounded, grateful, and focusing on small steps.
That's awesome. All right, we have one final question, and it's a little bit of a loaded one. It's like a three-part question. So it's if you had a magic wand, you can make three wishes. One wish for Lexi, one for how founders think about legal, and then one for immigrant founders navigating the US system. What are your three wishes?
Okay, let's do the immigrants navigating the US system. My wish is that the visas would be easier. H-1B overall, I think for me, it was one of the biggest stresses when I moved here. And that legal process should be intuitive and it just like talking to AI agent, pressing the buttons, and it's all in plain English that you can really understand the words. And it's not that those long pages of God knows what. Yeah, open open the borders for talented people and plain English, concise that founders can understand. So that's for immigrant founders. Then the second one.
One wish for Lexi, and then one for how founders think about legal.
My wish for Lexi. Ooh, for me, Lexi is a girl. So I think my wish for Lexi is to be that girl because she's that girl.
Love that.
And many clients actually think Lexi, like they call me Lexi, they call Lexi everyone on the team. So it's
It's a good
common.
sign that your brand is
Yeah.
landing. It's
Yeah,
memorable.
I was once recognized on the street and I was called Lexi. And I was like, yeah, I'm okay being called Lexi. And for founders in legal, don't make stupid legal mistakes that are very costly or could destroy your company. If you're early stages, best in schedule for your co-founders, for all of your employees. 83B election within 30 days, you have to file it. One founder paid 700K at Series A because she forgot about
My
that.
goodness. Ugh,
um,
so
Best in
brutal.
schedule because otherwise your co-founder leaves and you're going to be working hard for two people and investors won't invest in you. And QSBS, learn what it is. It's qualified
Huge.
small business stock up to $500 million. Make sure you maximize that. Once things becoming successful for you, learn maybe setting up the trusts so you can get. I personally set up 4 trusts to get $75 million exemption. So yeah, like get your bag and make sure that the company is successful, but you're also successful at the end of the day. Like do good and while doing good.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Well, where can people find out more about Lexi and follow your work?
Yeah, follow us on Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, podcast, and a website.
Awesome. And we'll put all those links below too for anybody listening along. Thank you
Yeah,
so much,
hit
Christina.
me up. Like whoever watches the podcast, coffee. Or we can grab coffee. You can hit me up. I hope it's not gonna be like a thousand
I know,
people.
watch, we're going to go viral right before this one gets
Limited to
posted.
5 people.
Yeah,
First
first
five
five, first
people.
five.
First
Yeah,
five.
you got to
First
put a
five.
limit on that.
First five we grab coffee.
Yes. Amazing. Thank you so much, Kristina.
Thank you so much, ladies. I enjoyed.
That was such a fun conversation. Christina's amazing. What stood
Yeah.
out to you the most from the conversation?
Yeah, she's great. I think the big one was when she just talked about, working hard, and you're going to be working so hard if you're a founder anyway, whether you're trying to aim for 10 million, 100 million, or a billion. So why not really just go for that big goal? And so I love that, obviously. And then the second thing that was really big was just like the impact that she's had through social media and content creation, and how customers are almost like a secondary, I mean, if not maybe just parallel effect for her. But yeah, I think those were like the two main things that really stuck out from the conversation with Kristina.
Yeah, I'm so curious to see where, obviously there is the immediate gratification of the social distribution is leading to customers today. But I think there's going to be second and third order effects that she can't even, and we can't even guess or visualize in this moment today. And it just kind of reminds me of the early days of the Council Angels, our operator angel community, which was just sort of a grassroots thing, similar to how social is what she enjoys and loves and puts time into. This was also like a passion project for a friend of mine and myself. And at first it was like, let's just do it because people want to angel invest together. We're all trying to figure it out together. And then later it was like, should this be a part of the venture firm? Should it not? We think it
Yeah.
could be useful, so let's just do it. And now looking back, it's like, wow, that led to founders in our portfolio. That led to LPs in our fund. It led to more co-investors. It led to more and more deal flow and sort of a brand halo effect where you go anywhere and there's always somebody from the council in the room, especially in San Francisco. So I'm just excited to see where that goes for her on the social media side and content side, because it's a different muscle, but it's going to be that powerful or probably like 10 times more powerful than what I just described. So
Yeah.
I can't even imagine the use cases. Oh, and here's a new one that she just got, the tattoo. Somebody got a
Yes.
tattoo behind their ear. Not that that's what she was going for, but it's really interesting to just see the loyalty that is developing.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you're talking about the council, I mean, that's how I got to know the council, was through the Council Angels first and
Yeah, I
hearing
wouldn't have
about
even
it.
been able to hire you. We wouldn't be partners right now.
I
So,
know. I was just thinking that. I was like, oh, yeah, that's because I was interested and I was
yeah,
looking out there. And because the Council Angels had already built such a big brand around it and so many people were talking about it, I got to learn more about you guys.
yeah,
So
awesome. Well,
Awesome.
I'm
Well,
already excited for next time that we have her on the podcast because
I
for me,
know.
like every time I talk to her, it's like the growth, the rate of growth of Christina is just unbelievable. Like I just looking 6 months back is like a totally different world and 6 months prior to that. So I'm excited to see even where she's at in 6 months and have her back on First Builders.
Totally, especially since she's like, always wanting to be the first adopter of everything.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
yeah, she's always ahead of the curve there. Awesome. Well, if you enjoyed this episode, please leave us a review, share it with a friend, and subscribe to First Builders wherever you get your podcasts.
And don't forget to subscribe to the Council newsletter as well for more founder stories and frameworks that you can apply to your own company.
Awesome. Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Bye.